Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect. We are headed to the NBA Finals. Not we as in Annie and I, not we as in you and me. Well, maybe you. I can't say me because I'm not. I don't got that budget. But the Dallas Mavericks are headed to the NBA Finals.
Let's
Annie,
go.
how are you doing on this magnificent Friday?
You know, you can't have too many Fridays much better than the Fridays we're having today in Mavs land. It was a wonderful sight to see yesterday when the clock hit 0 and the Mavericks were heavily on top. I think they won by 21.
Yeah, 21 sounds
Yeah,
right.
they won by 20. Yeah, we pretty much blackjacked them and got to carry the Western Conference Final trophy. Surprisingly, we didn't see cubes. But it was awesome seeing Luka getting another trophy to it, adding another trophy, another accolade to his resume.
Yep.
But man, good freaking times. Good freaking times. Congrats to the Dallas Mavericks.
I need the energy here. I need the fire and the passion. Like this shit doesn't happen. It's been 13 years, man. 13 years waiting to get back to relevance, like true relevance, and they're finally there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we talked about how they kind of let game 4 slip away from them. Certainly wasn't a perfect game, but they just did not execute down the stretch. Really, we're right there until about the last minute of that game. So losing that one, we were like, missed opportunity. Hopefully they take that and like put this shit away in game 5. And good grief, did they take that to heart, because
they put that shit away.
Yeah. Luka in particular was just possessed to start that first quarter. Not to start the first quarter, just in general. He outscores Minnesota himself in the first quarter.
Yeah.
You said it earlier. I know this observation was made by many on Twitter last night. We got almost immediate shades of Game 7 in Phoenix a couple years ago, where it was just like, oh, so it's like that. Like, it's done. You don't even. And there's a beautiful full circle moment to this, because as the internet does, we dredge things up, right?
Yeah.
Looking back to social media from a couple years ago in that Game 7 against Phoenix, Anthony Edwards posting a video ranting about how it's just embarrassing for the Suns, essentially. And they're like, like you were shit talking us this whole time and everything. Like, yeah, we're out of the playoffs, but look what's happening to you. And it's like, yeah, man. Now you know firsthand what was just happening to them.
Did they lose? Was that, if you can recall back? No, that wasn't. I was going to say, was that the Suns' first round matchup? No, but the Suns' first round matchup was against the Pelicans that year. So never mind. Yeah. So there was a lot of parallels to that Game 7 mollywop back in 22. Especially, I think one of the funniest ones to me was one of the memes that was going around was Luka absolutely hates the performative post-game workouts.
Yeah.
That they do. So they showed that, and he just you saw the score at halftime. And
they lost 3 of the last 4 after doing that.
Yeah.
Or they did they do it after they were?
I think they did it after
they did it last round.
Yeah, right? I think they did it after Game 7. I'm not sure.
After Game 7 again. Yes, that's what it was. Game 7 after Denver. They did that video or that post, whatever, of them working out after the game. And it's like, did you learn nothing from Phoenix? Again, a weird full circle there because they lost 4 out of 5 after that.
That's insane. We have to talk about the Luka just complete going scorched earth in the first couple minutes of the first quarter. And one of the things that I was thinking of when I was watching the game is, what I watched pretty much since the Luka era began, not since it began, but since Luka was established as one of the guys in the league.
Yeah.
I think where my head is it was usually okay, I will cheer harder. Like, if you ever watch a game with me, I tend to cheer harder for the number 2s, for the KPs, for the Kyries, and because I'm more excited when someone else can do it other than Luka, because I'm so used to Luka being great that it's almost to a point where I overlook it, and it's almost routine for me.
Take it for granted a little bit.
Yeah. And yesterday, the greatness was like such. It was like in my face, right? To where I was literally, I guess, knocked aback. Like, okay, I tend to forget that we do have one of the best, not if not the best players in the league, and we're seeing it unfold right before our eyes, and
Yep.
it was a sight to see. And I definitely have to call myself out that sometimes I try to be, I don't want to say critical, but like I try to be objective about when I guess critique Luka. I'm not the opposite of some people like on Twitter who like Luka's never at fault.
Sure.
But I try to be objective about it. But every now and then, and especially last night, it was just like it was undeniable. I was like, for the first time in franchise history, and no disrespect to Dirk, we have that guy in the league. And everyone's talking about face of the league and stuff like that. Luka, in terms of skill, is that guy. Now, is he marketable? Does he even want to be the face of the league? I will argue him and Jokic probably don't want to be. He probably doesn't have the personality for it.
If he wanted to, he would try in all-star games.
Yeah, he would, exactly. So Ant probably has him because he's just more, he has the personality for it. But man, it was just like, oh yeah, we have the best player in the league.
That's absolutely. Insane. And the thing coming into this, if you watched my video I did, because my schedule was insane after the next day after game 4. So I just did a video, not a stream that day. But in that, I talked about how like Luka on the road is a different animal. Like he's already great at home, but like when he's in the trenches, when he's surrounded by the enemy and their crowd and they're trying to shit talk him, he feeds on that. He does he does less crying, and he's more like, oh, okay. So I'm a crybaby. All right, bet. Let's watch this. Let's see what happens to you now. That game was 18-17. And there's a beautiful moment where there's a play made, and in the background behind Luka, you get like one of those Timberwolves fans courtside that's just doing like this. Oh. And Luka just goes scorched earth.
Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely, like the Mavericks closed the quarter on a 17-1 run. And Luka's just, he's unconscious, essentially. He's 8 of 10 from the field in that quarter. He's hitting logo threes. He's just getting anything and everything he wants. And it's like, people have not learned. Maybe the only team that's ever understood this was the Warriors a couple of years ago. Do not poke the bear. By all means, I'm asking you to poke the bear, but do not, for your own benefit, poke the bear, because especially if your fans are doing it, as there was like a post on the Timberwolves subreddit yesterday before the game, like, please, for the love of God, do not boo Luka. Do not give him something to feed off of. Just be quiet when he has the ball. Don't react, or unless he misses, maybe cheer. But like, don't boo, don't do anything.
I guess not enough people in Minnesota get on Reddit.
Yeah. And so he just goes scorched earth, and that's the difference of Luka on the road versus Luka at home. In that sense, I'm almost looking forward to the fact that we're the road team in this series. Like,
going against Boston, that's a very unfriendly crowd.
Oh yeah. They wouldn't be able to help themselves anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you told them, they would be like, I don't care. We're still
it's baked into their culture, and that's one of the things I love about Luka. Luka's old school, right?
Yeah.
I think probably earlier this season when I don't know if we were one of our lulls and we were playing a team who, oh wow, who's this guy?
I don't know, but if somebody knows us well enough to know that, I'm immediately curious.
Anyway,
I threw it up there partly to see what you would say. Like, do you know? I don't know. Somebody knowing us from Flower Mound.
It looks like a cowboy in a cowboy hat. Anyway, and that doesn't really narrow it down at all.
No.
Anyway, yeah. So earlier in the season,
Oh, Kite. Kight.
Jeremy or Sean?
I was thinking Sean. That was my guess. I don't know Jeremy.
Oh, Jeremy's his older brother.
Oh, well, it's probably Sean then.
Oh, okay. Who knows?
What's good?
That's awesome. Anyway, hi.
Hello.
This is us. 15
Class
years
reunion.
later. Anyway, yeah. So earlier in the season, I think when Luka was getting into it with a fan, and the fan was saying get on the treadmill or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was presumed or reported that Luka got that fan kicked out.
Yeah.
I don't know what ended up really happening once the smoke cleared. I think it really wasn't. But anyway, that's beside the case. I was very critical of Luka based off that reporting because I'm never going to be for a player kicking out a fan.
Right.
Because I'm always like, shut that fan up with your play. In fact, turn his section mates against him. I'm always harping back to when Reggie Miller did that against Spike Lee. Like, it was part of that people like the news in around New York was like, is Spike Lee a problem? Because Reggie Miller was always going off because of what Spike Lee was doing. So it's very awesome seeing that with Luka yesterday when, you know, you have these dudes going at him with a handkerchief and everything.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, who's crying now, motherfucker? When the camera caught him saying, who's crying now, motherfucker? That's when I got so hyped. I was like, that's my guy.
Yep.
We don't kick fans out. I want you right here in your seat.
Yeah.
2 cheeks on your seat, and you're gonna watch this.
Yep.
And you're gonna enjoy it.
It's the Oklahoma City thing where you know, they're just giving him all kinds of shit from the crowd, shit talking, and he's just like, thank you for paying to come see me.
Yeah.
Thanks for paying to come see me, like for watching me play. Like, yeah, that's the mentality you need with that. So I absolutely love that.
That's somebody who can go into hostile environments and completely thrive.
Yep.
Right. That's someone who's not going to be rattled by, and we don't know if anybody on Boston can handle that. But we damn sure, like, Luka's been doing this since was a young lad at the age of 13. Right. So there's nothing that the NBA crowds can do to throw him off.
For some reason, you saying young lad made me envision Luka as like Scottish. Since I was a wee lad.
It's not far off. But yeah. Yeah. But I'm completely confident that Luka will be able to operate on such a stage.
Well, here's the thing.
At the NBA Finals.
Yeah, here's the thing too, not to cut you off. He looks generally healthy right now. Like, that was the first 2 rounds he wasn't healthy.
Oh yeah.
He still had a game in this series, game 2, where he was banged up. They got the win in that game, but he looked banged up and like he was struggling a little bit. He didn't really have a bad game in the series, as his stat line and averages would tell you. But the thing is, like, between Lively's ascension and between getting Maxey back in the fold, it's possible we still haven't even seen the best version of this Mavericks team. That's what should excite people. Not just that we're here, but that we haven't peaked yet.
Yeah.
We haven't been fully healthy, and now they got a week to rest. If Luka was able to make the strides he made with 48 hours between games, give him a full week, 8 days, whatever. Dude, now I'm not going to say that, like, oh, he's 100%, but like, he's going to be game. He's going to be ready for that, and the stage and everything else. Like, this is storylines galore in this series.
There's a chance he probably won't even be on the injury report going into game 1.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's been listed every game thus far because of knee and ankle. But yeah, by the time we get to game 1, he might not be on the injury report listed at all. Man, this and I know we're kind of half pivoting our attention here. I don't want to get into the whole finals thing yet because we got a week to talk about that.
Oh yeah.
But I will say up front, the storylines of this series, it's not the storybook in the sense that 2011 was, that it was like the same team, the same key antagonist at least.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of fascinating storylines here that, coming to a conclusion one way or another, are, I think, very, very intriguing if you're a basketball fan. It's not just this age-old debate, Luka versus Tatum, who's better? All right, well, here you go. The answer's obvious, but like, here you go. You're going to actually get the stage now.
Yeah.
You never got LeBron, Kobe in the finals, but you'll get Luka and Tatum. So there you go. That's something. You've got Luka versus Porzingis, or Dallas versus Porzingis, if you would rather.
Probably Dallas versus.
And then you've got Kyrie going back to Boston.
That's going to be
everything. Yeah, the Kyrie one's the most tantalizing one, but
yeah,
I'm
they haven't let that. They haven't let that shit go.
No,
they haven't.
They clinch, and the first thing they're saying, even though we're 3 games into our series, is F Kyrie. Like, that's their chant outside the arena. It's like, okay, yeah.
I want this so bad for Kyrie.
Yeah,
I want this so bad. There was a video I watched on YouTube, and I pretty much, it was kind of going through all the media members who were just going ham on him during his time in Boston and during his time in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And some of the things about his off basketball stuff and whatever, but how everyone's flipping on him. It was just kind of like, all the receipts are here, but just hearing what all those people were saying about him back in those days. Now, I wasn't like super duper Kyrie fan, but it was just like, I understand what he's saying in terms of like the some of the stances that he took. Is like, I can see how someone could come to that conclusion. Like, this is not, to me, it wasn't a stance that's worth hating somebody over. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Or calling him out of his name over.
Yeah.
But some of those media members were going so ham on him, and I was just like, you know what? This will be so good on so many levels to see Kyrie rise above that, because there's not a lot of opportunities, and there's not a lot of athletes that will go through something like that and completely have everyone change their mind. Like, multiple times I've seen people saying, we got to apologize to Kyrie. And it's kind of, for me, it's kind of disingenuous, because you're only apologizing to him because he's winning. Because I think if the Mavericks got bounced in round 2, are we seeing this, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's been that Kyrie since he's got here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He hasn't been the off-court drama dude. He's been just an outstanding leader for the Mavericks. To him, I would just say F all those people who, if I was Kyrie, of course, I would say F all those people who were talking trash on me.
Yeah,
I'm about to get this dub, and revenge is the sweetest when it's served cold. I don't know what the term is.
Yeah, man. Let the outcome be your revenge. You don't have to say anything back. I liked how he handled. Just real quick, I liked how he handled when he was brought on with the TNT crew, talking with Shaq and everything. The way he handled that entire thing, because like Shaq in particular was on there calling him an idiot and really running his mouth on him, and yet Kyrie kind of took the high road and everything. And so when you look back on that and you see those clips back to back, it's like, oh, dude, there's no question who has the moral high ground here. Now, I'm not even talking about like your position on whatever the controversy was. I'm just talking about like how he handled it then, and not coming out and just being like the aggressor or the screw you ran your mouth about me sort of thing. He just kind of was like, he didn't make reference to it, but at the same time was just like, I'm just going to conduct myself like normal, and that's it. Like, I'm not gonna give you fuel or whatever if you're looking for it. And I generally believe like that's kind of his mindset about everything. It's just like, look, it's not a thing to get upset over. Just do your thing. So
I hope if the Mavericks win this championship, I hope he comes out with some Michael B. Jordan energy.
That would be funny.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you think I'm corny, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. So I feel like we would be a little bit remiss if we didn't talk a little bit. Let's go into a little bit of game 5 here. So we already talked about Lucas Fleury at the beginning of the game, outscoring Minnesota by himself in the first quarter, making 8 of his first 10 shots. Dallas, it wasn't just that like Luka and Kyrie were cooking. They combined for 72 points. They both had 36 apiece. Insane. 57 and 50% respectively from the line, like 57, not from the line, 50% from the field, 50% combined from three. So absolutely cooking. Absolutely love that.
Fun times.
Also, the return of Derek Lively
to
the lineup. Huge difference. The difference in the defense. And this is what we were saying. This is why I said, like, assuming he comes back and looks like his usual self, this series is a wrap. I know people got a little worried about that. And all my takeaway was from that was like, look, you've got to step up and do it again. And they're going to be maybe extra motivated now. Now I kind of feel like they were just happy not to get swept.
Yeah.
But Derek Lively's return to the lineup and just what he does differently. He really is like our Draymond Green minus the like psycho energy.
Yeah.
Like what he brings and how he anchors the entire defense is just, it can't be overstated. And not only that, he set a playoff record for most consecutive field goals during the play-by-play era. I think we got James jumping in here.
And it's wild, too, on that note. We have to talk about...
Let me get this set.
Going back to Luka and I guess Kyrie, too. The effect that they have. Because people are talking about Gafford. There is a YouTube creator that's a Wizards fan that was reacting to Daniel Gafford, and he kept saying, you know, how come Gafford couldn't do this in Washington, in DC? And it's like, because y'all don't have the playmaker
right
that Luka Doncic is, to where we can fully utilize a guy like Daniel Gafford. Because I was always on the Daniel. We need, if I can, I'm going to try to take time out this weekend. I'm going to go back to our archives of Dallas prospect, because I remember when Gafford was coming out of Arkansas and he was in the second round. I remember wanting the Mavericks to draft him so bad.
I kind of recall that.
Yeah.
Was that the like 2-hour video you put together and then we like traded away our draft pick or something?
No, that was the draft we ended up drafting. Who we draft? Hardy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We ended up trading for
you
Wood.
Did a whole first round breakdown of all the prospects we did. Target.
Yeah. But we did it. We ended up doing like a live for the draft. And even though only pick was in the second round, but we were just happy-go-lucky Mavs fans or whatever, that we decided to sit 2 hours through a draft with the only pick that the Mavericks had being a second rounder.
Nice.
And I think that's when we traded back. We might have had an opportunity to draft Bol.
Yeah.
So we were kind of excited about that. But then we ended up drafting what's his nuts from Nebraska, Isaiah Roby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, I really wanted Daniel Gafford because I knew he was capable of doing something like this, especially with a playmaker like Luka Doncic. And you know how we feel about Dwight Powell. I just wanted somebody, give me a center that had length and athletic ability, which Dwight Powell did not have either one.
Right.
He was just, he could jump a little bit, but he wasn't very lengthy. He only had 6'11". He only has a 6'11" wingspan. Like Luka has longer arms than he does. Right. So I was like, someone who gives us any kind of length and any kind of athleticism, Luka Doncic would turn that person into damn near a top level center.
Yeah.
And we saw that in two of the guys where Gafford almost broke the freaking record of most consecutive field goal.
He tied it, right?
He came 3 short.
Came
3 short. And then we had Lively, a 20-year-old, a rookie that everyone was claiming that was going to be a project coming into his rookie year, goes into the Western Conference Finals and does not miss a basket.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yep, 16 of 16 for the series.
That is insane, and that's due to the greatness of Luka and the greatness of Kyrie Irving.
Absolutely. James, how you doing, buddy?
Bruh, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
I am on cloud a billion. I'm on cloud a billion. You know what I'm saying? I love seeing all these haters eat them words because they ain't want to give us our flowers all year. They didn't want to give us our flowers in these playoffs. with that fake love. They all wanted them Clippers to beat us. Then they was like, oh, they ain't beating that number one young OKC team. And oh no, Anthony Edwards, they just knocked them Nuggets out. There ain't no way. But these were great matchups for the Mavericks. These were great matchups for us. And, we talked about a DDP after that Clippers. I said, first of all, when the playoffs started, y'all, when I seen OKC got that first seed, I was like, that's what I want right there.
Yep.
That's what I want. When they got that first seed, I was like, okay, this could be our year because this could fall just the way we want. We just need to get past our nemesis in them Clippers because obviously, guys, they had players, one-on-one guys that could create their own shots that could give us some issues. That was the main threat to me. Mm-hmm. Let us get past them Clippers. We're feeling good because I knew we could beat OKC, and I felt like we were a better matchup against Minnesota. I felt it would be a bad matchup for us against Denver, but I felt if Minnesota beat them, we could beat Minnesota because we had a better matchup, and we're here. But just to Enye's point, excuse me, Enny's point. When I was listening to you about Gafford and Lively, me and DDP Enny been talking about that for the last 2 years. Get us somebody athletic. Dwight Powell, JaVale McGee ain't it. We're going to continue to struggle unless we get them athletic big men because just like y'all saw, Luka is one of the best lob guys in the NBA right now, period, bar none. One of the best lob guys. And all he needed was that
three quarters
dog, easy, half court. I mean, full court. It's easy. He just flicks his wrist and it's just so easy. It's so natural. And all we needed. So you got a Gafford. When we got him, I'm loving it. But, when we got Lively and then DDP had mentioned it, and I'm totally in agreement. When they drafted him from the time of the beginning of the season to now, his basketball IQ is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You feel me? And he's just grown so much in a year. And you saw how important he was when he missed that game. I felt energy gone. It felt different. We was like, we need that young rook in there. Yeah. And all we needed, fellas, was those big men. We had talked about a DDP. Get us some athletic big men. League going to be in trouble. And guess what? We're here in the finals.
Yep. The fact we went like 5 years with Dwight Powell as the best role man option for Luka is a criminal offense, a felony offense.
Criminal.
The fact that you got him not one but two, and look what he immediately did with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like it's to be fair, it's not a position that's hard to find, honestly. Now, are you going to find top talent? Probably not. But I would have took Christian Coloclo or something. Like it doesn't need to be a $10 million center, even though we can turn someone like a Gafford who makes like 11, 12 mil. We can make him produce like a freaking 20, 30 million type player, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need that. We just needed someone that's a little bit more athletic that can at least change some shots.
Yeah,
because Dwight wasn't doing that. And we've heard players say that. We've heard players say that like when they go in, they didn't hesitate.
They're not scared of him.
They're not scared of Dwight Powell. They're not. He didn't challenge anybody.
There's a reason he got a few minutes in game 4 and Luka's telling Kid to get him out of the game. Like we're shorthanded, yes, but even in that situation, Luka's like, you gotta get him off the floor.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Even with this increase, because we saw the effect of Lively from jump.
Yep.
Against Wembanyama.
Man.
But it was okay. Dwight Powell, he's a good backup. Then we saw him being a backup. We're like, no, we can't do this.
Yeah.
This is still way too
no, we can't even. You can't even be the backup to the backup.
Yeah, right. We can't even handle the 10 minutes that he's getting. Like this is crucial. We need to get another center in here, and that's when they did. They got Gafford, and everyone was saying you're giving Luka 48 full minutes of a lob threat, right? And we're seeing the effects of that. And another thing, it's almost like kind of like patting ourselves on the back off of our own commentary these last couple of years. Like I said in a couple of podcasts ago, give Luka some guys. Mm-hmm. Big game. Mm-hmm. I was going through watching some old clips of the Mavericks in the old playoff time. And to see some of these guys, no disrespect to them, I mean they're NBA players, but to see some of these people that we were going to war with the Trey Burke,
you feel me?
Yeah, Tim Hardaway Jr. playing major minutes. We had Michael Kidd Gilchrist playing big minutes for us in the playoffs. Where's Michael Kidd Gilchrist today?
DeLon Wright.
Exactly. DeLon Wright.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was saying this playoffs is going to be completely different because our team is way more functional. Like they're way more two-way. You know what I mean? We kept doing this thing where we just need to provide Luka with shooters. It's like, no, we need guys that can
we need big men.
Yeah, we need guys that can get stopped. Right. So now you provide Luka with a little bit of defense. He's playing himself too. He's providing a lot of that defense that we needed. Him and Kyrie. And what happens? We didn't even go 7 games with nobody. It was 6-5. Right. As Luka's getting more healthier. And if Luka was this level of health in round 1 and round 2, we talking about one of those probably games sweep, right? Or at least 5 games.
Yeah.
With those two going there, having their heaters in game 1, right?
Yep.
This whole series with Boston coming up, you know, I'm trying to be objective about it, but I don't know, man. Like I think Luka and me finally, I guess maybe coming off this high, being prisoner in the moment, but coming off the realization that we have the best player in the league, and we were backing that up with a Kyrie Irving, who is one of the top players in this league, as much as publications like to disrespect him, calling him the 36th best. Please, I will take Kyrie over a lot of top point guards that people have. Dame Lillard, why? Why is Dame Lillard a top 75 player and Kyrie isn't? What has Dame Lillard done that Kyrie hasn't done? Or sorry, what can Dame Lillard do that Kyrie Irving doesn't do?
Yeah, I mean, even just the resume, what has he already accomplished that matches up to anything Kai has done?
Exactly.
Yeah, so, it's just because the 75 list came out amid the heat of everything with the controversy. If it wasn't that there'd be a year before, kind of praise on him, he would have absolutely been not just on the list, but probably in like the top 50.
Yeah.
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 I feel that.
It's wild. Go ahead, James.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was just in agreement with any on that. What he was saying. Kyrie, the game changed when we got Kyrie. Everybody knows it. The game changed. And when people were saying that notion, they can't do it. I felt like, yes, it can, because I feel like Kyrie is going to be in a better place. I just felt like he's going to be in a better place. And you just see, like, man, it's just that wisdom. Him being to the finals, 4 straight years, winning 1. That wisdom was coming out him to be able to kind of like teach Luka. You know, it's like now the teacher he wanted to be, he was allowed to be with Luka. And Luka wanted somebody where it felt like where he could learn from too. And it just like they just coincided so well. And I don't feel like you prisoner in the moment. I said we beating Boston. We fully healthy. We beating Boston. I feel it. Yes, they got Tatum. Yes, they got Brown. Yes, they got good defense, but we got Luka and we got Kyrie, and I like our big men against theirs. You feel me? We got wings. We got Derrick Jones Jr. We got PJ Washington that can, you know, put some pressure on them. And when I seen the 2 games that we played them during the year, Gafford was only in one of them, right? And he didn't get a lot of minutes. It was more Derek Lively getting the minutes, and Gafford didn't really get a lot of minutes in that game.
And I think we were pretty fresh off the trade too.
We were.
It was real fresh.
Yeah,
we were still getting to know everybody.
Yeah, and again, even just going off that snapshot, Lively at that point in the season compared to today is basically a different player.
It's night and day. It's almost
like his development jumped like a year and a half, 2 years just in the span of those 4 months. So yeah, it's a wildly different thing. And the fact that Dallas is able to deploy 2 of those guys to play about 25 minutes each a night. The fact that their styles complement each other. There's nobody that questions that Lively is the better of the 2, but Gafford is still so valuable in what he brings. I mean, I can't bag on Gafford at all. In the game and a half he had to go without Lively, he played his ass off. Like he was,
he did.
He had 5 blocks in one game, 3 in another, like big moment blocks too.
Yeah.
Like he was absolutely doing everything in his power. The thing is, you can only go to the maximum of what your ability is, and there's just an extra gear that Lively has, extra like natural talent he has as far as like his basketball IQ, as far as his athleticism and his ability to be more versatile as a defender. All of that just services better to where it's just like the dynamic he brings is what puts Dallas and makes them I said probably like one of the 2 best defenses in the league. Whereas with Gafford, you still have a top 10 defense, but it's just the leap between 10 and 1 or 2 is fairly sizable, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that contribution can't be overstated. I love this too. Look at the collective salaries from this series when you're looking at the front courts. The Gafford, Lively, Maxi Kleba front court in a year makes $28,177,640. The Gobert,
that's a lovely number.
Nas Reed lineup is $89,966,600. Tell me,
and they were already talking about that. Yeah. They were already talking about that in Minnesota, how they're going to be dealing with some roadblocks because those high salaries. And that feels good knowing that we ain't going to be dealing with that. And he was trying to hate on us like we owe, like all our players are in their 30s. No, we're not. We a young squad. Kyrie and Cleveland are the only ones that's 30, and Kyrie's 30 is not an old 30.
Yeah,
he has the type of game. Yeah, he has the type of game that he's elite at least 4 more years. The way and he keeps in impeccable shape. It's not like he doesn't stay in shape either. He keeps in impeccable shape. So to see, you're going to have at least 4 years, in my opinion, of some high level Kyrie Irving with Luka, and you got those young boys behind him. Bro, I don't know why we can't continue to look at this ride even after this year, that we can continue to build upon this. So the now is feeling good and the future is feeling good. And I'm just excited. I'm ready to bust these Boston Celtics heads.
Yes, sir.
The thing with Boston is like the difference of this series versus Boston. Boston doesn't have guys like they're all 2-way. They are balanced. You're not going to have like Minnesota running lineups out there where not 1 but 2 guys on the floor at any given time. You basically don't have to guard. I know Anderson did well for what he could in the series, but there's a reason he was getting left open for the entirety of the shot clock to finally load up that 1 3-point shot. And it's basically just like he's not a solid shooter or scorer. And so like you had 2 of those guys. Boston doesn't have that problem. In fact, Boston has been better with Al Horford while KP has been out. Having said that, Boston also has been completely untested. When you adjust the record of their opponents based on injury, they've not had to go through anybody. I think the average wins of their opponents in this postseason run is 37.5 wins when you adjust for injury. So they haven't had to go through anybody of real significance because every team of like, oh, they beat the Heat. Oh, without Jimmy. Oh, they beat without. Oh, what about no, without him, him, and him. Oh, okay. Well, they swept the Pacers. Yeah, but it was the Pacers without this guy and this guy and this guy. And every one of those games was still basically down to the wire. Like, so you had a backcourt of who now giving you the business and making it.
And Nembhard and Nesmith.
Yeah.
Right.
How you feel now going with Luka and Kyrie against that? Now, I'm not going to say it's apples to apples. It is different, to James's point earlier. Our matchup, the way we matched up, Minnesota was a perfect matchup for Denver. They were a horrible matchup for us, even though nobody wanted to talk about that. Nobody wanted to give us credit because even after they won a single damn game in the series, you had people already talking about like, this is going to be the team that does it. We're looking at maybe a Game 7.
Exactly. That pissed me off.
I wanted to.
You knew they were doing it though, fellas. You knew they were doing it, fellas. They don't like us in the media. They don't appreciate Luka in the media. They like to bash him as much as they can, and they always want to put another face on this. And that's why I was so glad how Luka and Kyrie came out and ended it, because all that noise, that's why I didn't want them to win, because you knew as soon as they won one game, they could make history. This could be the team, and Edwards, they're finding their groove. And the national media was jumping back on their team, and I was like, okay, yeah, they don't like these Mavs. So please, Luka, Kyrie, come in there and just set the tone. And man, did they ever, especially Luka came out there. That's what I love. This is what I love about Luca. Okay, I'm old school basketball. I am. I'm 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and I remember watching them basketball players, and they took that stuff personal. All this like that jersey swapping in the NFL and everybody being nice to each other, patting each other on the back and being cool. I hate that stuff. Luka is a throwback in that aspect of you talk some trash to him, he's gonna find you every single play he make a bucket, he looking at you. He talking to you. He's saying something to you. That's the player I want. He's the one that's saying, hey, shut the F up. Yeah. Shut the F. I don't care who you are. You say something to me, I'm tearing your head off. And that's the type of killer I want. He's got the Mamba mentality. I don't care. He has Mamba mentality because that's what it reminds me of Kobe. Kobe didn't care who you was, and you said one word to him, he's after you. And that's what Luka is. And I'm glad that's what we have on our team. A straight up killer.
Yep.
Yeah, I almost wanted to go back into the 22 season when the Mavericks won game 4, I believe, right? Just like they did. I wanted to see the discourse around what people believe. Now, granted,
nobody thought Dallas was coming back.
Yeah, it definitely was because, the Warriors had the history that they had, especially in 22. But it like just after the Wolves winning that game in game 4, and it was almost like anyone in the mainstream media was like, "Oh yeah, this is like there might be a team that can do it. If it is one, is this Wolves team?" I'm like, bro, when did we stop rocking with the Wolves like this? Like, what's going on? Like, it was very, very weird and suspicious. But
yeah,
I'm glad that came to an abrupt end right around the 7-minute mark in the first quarter.
Yeah. Check this stat out. This is from Mark Followell on Twitter. He says, since the 8-team playoff per conference format was adopted in 1984, teams to reach the NBA Finals winning 3 series versus opponents with 50-plus wins. This year's Mavericks beating the Clippers, Thunder, and Timberwolves. The 2001 Lakers beating Portland, Sacramento, and San Antonio. And he'll like hearing this, 1995's Houston Rockets beating Utah, Phoenix, and San Antonio. So this is ultra rare territory to do something like this. There's a reason they should be getting people's attention and respect. Now, if for no other reason, then they're on the stage. They've gotten to the stage. They're still going to be the underdogs, and they still need like Maxey and Lively's health will be essential to this series. Their versatility, their ability to switch. I know Maxey's not where he was defensively 2-3 years ago even. I get that. But what he's able to bring is still useful. Him coming back at the moment Lively went down, I understand we lost one of those 2 games, because obviously it happened in like second quarter of one game. You still got away with a win in that one. But Maxey's impact at least helped mitigate that a little bit. So having all this, and I was saying this earlier, James, before you came on, Dallas hasn't even peaked yet because Luka was banged up the first 2 rounds. Now you have Maxey back in the fold for the first time since the Clippers series. What was that, game 4? Game 3?
No,
I don't remember exactly what game it was,
6.
but it was in Dallas that it happened.
The game that he went down?
Yes.
Game 6.
Yeah, okay, game 6. It was later in the series than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, Maxey back for the first time since game 6 of that series, and Lively's ascension to what he is now. Like, we haven't seen this Mavericks team at full strength, full health. Now they're going to get a chance to actually bring all of that to the finals. I think it's possible this team still has another level that we haven't even seen. And to be saying that going into the finals is the best thing. Because I'll be honest with you, even the 2011 team, we weren't saying that going into the finals. It was like, how close is Karan? Okay.
Right.
I like our guys. I believe in our resilience and everything like that, but we're banged up going into this. We don't have anything making us think that we're on an upswing right now. This is just like, all right, can the opponent bring out extra fire from you? And Dirk was just like, I don't need extra fire. Dirk didn't care. He's like, I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't care about 06 right now. I just care about this. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hate it if you also found a little extra motivation, even if you didn't want to say it. But yeah, so that's the difference with this. I feel like this Mavericks team still has another level they can possibly get to. just because of where they're at health wise and where they at in terms of momentum and everything. And that is something to be excited about.
Very much
For
so.
sure, for sure.
I agree.
Well, hey, fellas, I want to jump on here real quick because I'm at work. I'm about to jump back here and finish my day. But I appreciate both of y'all. Please go continue to support both of these guys. They're great in the Maverick streets. I love listening to y'all. Love listening to y'all analytical breakdowns of the game. And let's just, you know what, we're gonna probably do some more of this stuff while the series is going on. But you know what, I just feel like it's our time. You just said it, DDP. We haven't even peaked. Lively with Maxi, Gafford. I just feel like we haven't all the way clicked, and I feel like we're fully healthy and we have that rest going into these finals. I feel good. I feel very confident. I feel like we can match them in anything that they do, offensively, defensively. And now we just got to really just stay the course. But I feel like Luka, he's got that taste in his mouth now. Kyrie's been there, but Luka wants this championship, and I feel like he's not trying to be denied, just like Dirk wasn't. And I feel like this is that same level where Dirk was like, "We ain't gonna be denied." 06, okay, but not 2011. Dirk said no, and I feel like this is going to be the same way Luka's going to do, and we about to get that second chip. Let's get it, baby.
Appreciate you coming on, James. We'll do it again soon.
Appreciate y'all. Later.
See ya.
Yeah. Absolutely a lot to love looking into this. I'm going to be curious. Like I said, we'll do more videos. We'll do more streams probably before the finals kicks off, since we got a week. Obviously, we're going to fill that time somehow. But just keeping in the scope of last night's game, Luka obviously gets MVP for the Western Conference Finals. His averages were 32.4 points, 9.6 boards, 8.2 assists, and 2.2 steals. His shooting splits, 47.3% from the field, 43.4% from three, 84.6% at the line.
Damn.
Like, unbelievable numbers that he put out. And like I said, he wasn't 100% in this series, but this was MVP Luka showing up. Like, regular season MVP should have been MVP Luka showing up on this stage
against what people were saying to be one of the top defenses that people have witnessed. Ever. Especially going up against that Denver team.
Number one defense this year, defensive player of the year, the perennial fake Rudy Gobert. And it didn't matter. Dallas had their way with them. And the reason people in the media were partly leaning on it, other than just their dislike of Luka and Kyrie, and to a lesser extent, even the Mavericks, was the fact that, the first three games were close. And now Minnesota's finally figured something out. See, they did something different, and they finally got the better of Dallas in the closing time. It was their guys coming to the table. Dude, it doesn't matter. It was one game. It was one game that they managed to pull away at the very end, and they nearly lost that game even still.
Yeah.
The Mavericks in their last 46 games with Luka on the floor, 35-11. Like,
you're not beating that team
stacked.
4 games in a row.
Do what?
You're not beating that team 4 games in a row.
No. Yeah. So
no matter what you figure out.
Absolutely next level shit with this Mavericks team. And the fact that they're healthy, the fact that they're this driven and motivated, all the better for their chances. Like, I'm not going to call it. I'm very reluctant in this series to say anything with too much confidence. I'm going to go with a feeling more than anything. I feel like I got Mavericks in 7 because I think they're just going to find a way. When you look at their road record this postseason, their only 2 losses on the road were game 1 of the first 2 series. And we talked about that. Kid loves to just feel things out, see how it's going to go. Like, okay, yeah, you got a counter punch. I'd rather not concede a game to get there, but whatever. And again, it's Luka in that environment. Boston's not going to care. They're not going to be able to help themselves. It doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter that they've heard that, like, don't poke the bear. Everyone who's ever poked the bear with Luka has regretted it. Even those first 2 series with the Clippers that we didn't win, it wasn't because of Luka. Luka went thermonuclear. You don't poke the bear. Boston's like, we don't care. Like you said, it's like a almost city culture, a fan base culture with them. And they're already saying like, we're going to shut down Luka and Kyrie. We don't care. Bro, the Thunder said that. Bro, the Clippers said that. Bro, the Timberwolves just said that.
Yeah.
At what point do you realize, like,
you got a problem coming?
you got problems. Your thinking should be like, and I understand it's a pride thing and it's a stupid pride thing, but like your mindset, if anything, should be like, all right, yeah, Luka and Kyrie might get theirs. Our confidence comes from the belief that we're not going to let those role players get us, that we're not going to let PJ or Derek Jones Jr., who have both been huge at different stretches in this run, we're not going to let them get us. We're not going to let them be the ones to have a big game at our expense, or we're going to do more to contain the Lively Gafford combo than that. How they actually do that versus just saying they're going to do that, that's a different conversation. But at the least, I could understand that sentiment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is just a different level of delusion, I guess. Like, again, I am not saying that as a means of being like, oh, Boston, why do they think they have a chance? No, it's like, it's empirical evidence that you're looking at. It's looking at it and saying like, why does everybody just assume, well, we'll be the difference. We'll be the one that's different. Instead of just like, maybe just acknowledge like, yeah, we got a fight coming and we still like our chances. Hey, that's fine. I like our chances.
Yep.
But don't add fuel. Don't motivate these guys further.
Yeah. I definitely like what Kendrick Perkins is saying. He's basically telling the people of Boston to just leave Kyrie alone and leave Luka alone. It's like, if you guys want a chance, definitely leave Kyrie alone. Like, don't try to boo him. I know he stepped on Lucky way back when he was in Boston and stuff, or sorry, Brooklyn.
Yep.
I wouldn't dare say anything that can make Luka go off or whatever. But it is arguable that you have the top two players in this round.
Yeah.
Being Luka and Kyrie. Now, Luka, traditionally, I wouldn't say he's a better basketball player than Jason Tatum at this moment in time. However, he is playing a lot better than Jason Tatum is. And so it will be a pretty cool advantage to have going into the series with having the top two players. Now, yes, 3 through the rest of probably sprinkled in a couple of Mavericks in between 3 and 12 or 3 and 8.
Yeah.
But you'll probably have the majority of those being Celtic players. And the difference of this, what you said, is every one of those players, like, they have the ability A, to play both ways, B, to spread the floor, go 5 out, which we're going to see him do. They're going to shoot a lot of threes.
Hold up, Frank's on to something here.
What? Oh,
he's thinking outside the box. I like this.
Hey, that's some Pat Riley levels of thinking right there.
Sorry, continue with your point. I just saw that and I was like, hold up here.
Would you do that?
Would I do that? Sure, if they'll pay me. Yeah.
Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, we already got the paid fans in the NFL, right? The lady who was at like the Chargers game and Vikings game, like screaming her head off like it was the most passionate, dire thing in her life. Yeah, 100%.
I'm trying to think if that's something I would do. What if he like sees me? He's like, "Hey, aren't you that one?" He's like, "No, they paid me. No, they paid me."
You're like, no, really. I was told to do this. I'm actually a big Mavericks fan. Yeah, no.
That's a good point. Maybe you should do that.
Yeah.
Have the whole section turned against you.
Oh yeah, that'd be the problem too. And then if they figured out, like, if they someone recognized us or something, oh, it'd be over.
I can see that being like a Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Luka, fuck you. And he turns around and like gives the rest of the section like, see what he's about to do now.
Yeah. No, guys, trust me. You suck, Luka. You jackass. Like going Happy Gilmore on him.
Yeah. And the fans like, hey man, he scored 20 points. Like, give it a rest. Keep going. And
then with our luck, it would actually be the one time that it actually does throw off Luka, and everyone turns against you even more. Like, no. This always works. You don't understand. I just got to turn up the heat. It'll get going. It'll go back the other way.
Yeah, we definitely got to look into that. Good point, Frank.
Yeah,
that's how you think outside the box.
Do you remember what you were saying, or did I just completely like short circuit you?
You sure? Yeah, that happens a lot. It doesn't take much.
All good. I got another stat I can throw here. Another
thing I can react to. Yes.
Yeah. Luka is the fourth player ever to drop 450, 150, and 150 in a single postseason. That's 450 points, 150 rebounds, and 150 assists. He joins Nikola Jokic from last year, LeBron James, who, to be fair, has done it 6 times, and Larry Bird in 1987.
I mean,
there's a reason I declared this man Luka Legend on draft night 2018. I was already there, not just because I saw the simple ability to flip the 77 into L and went with alliteration. Shut up. It's my bit. Every legend was once a prospect. Legend was already in my vernacular. But it was also because I saw this dude with the ability to be great.
Talk your shit, DDP.
Hey, I will make my victory laps every now and then. Like Luka Legend calling that shit. When ESPN started throwing that nickname around a little bit, I was like, infringement. Calling Derek Lively on draft night, Tyson Chandler 2.0. I caught heat for that from some people saying, like, dude, this guy's gonna be a project, like you were saying. Nobody's thinking he's going to be that. And you're saying Tyson plus an offensive game eventually a jump shot. Dude, he didn't average this many points at Duke. He barely got this many like minutes or whatever. And I was just like, hear me now.
He didn't even look that good in Summer League.
Yeah. Hear me now, quote me later. It's Tyson 2.0, and it's going to be Tyson plus at least a corner 3 at some point. And everything is already paying off to that. Now, did I expect this immediately? Maybe. No. I don't know. I don't got to quote any more shit. I've already got my points. I don't need to keep putting it out there.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. The dude is everything to this team, and how he anchors this. When you got him, there are weird parallels to 2011, except the difference is 2011 did not have a Kyrie with it as well. The closest you had there was what? Jason Terry? And no disrespect to Jet, my second favorite. Well, I guess maybe now I gotta say third favorite Maverick all time. But
probably 4th or 5th for me.
That is what it is. Like
Kyrie's already kind of overtaken some players for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Overtaken who?
I said Kyrie has overtaken a lot of those guys.
Oh, I thought you were saying Dirk, and I was like, it might strain our relationship a little bit. I was
not Dirk, but
some
high-ranking Mavericks.
Sure.
Overtaking.
Yeah. So like there are parallels with this team in 2011, even the road there, even like the composition of the team, but they did not have this. Even if Caron Butler was healthy in those finals, this is not the same thing. Like this is a whole different animal here. So this is a fascinating opportunity here.
For your point too, if I can add on to that, because the difference between here and 2011 is I believe we can get better next year, regardless of what happens in the series.
Yeah.
Whereas 2011 was kind of like everyone said a lightning in a bottle type year. Dirk was on a playoff long heater. No one can stop him. You essentially game plan for him to get buckets no matter what you do, but hopefully try to stop other people around. Whereas this team now, as good as we are, is like we can F around and possibly get even better if we wanted to next year by using some assets that we already have, re-signing some guys, having more continuity. This team has always been together since February.
Yep.
Right. Yep. So it's not even, we don't honestly
not
we
even
don't really use. Yeah, we don't really even need to use any assets. We just need to run it back and then have a whole off season together. Yeah. We might come back even better than what we are right now. Whereas the team in 2011, it was essentially the whole team, the same team from beginning to end. But you add on Corey Brewer and Peja Stojakovic at the buyout market. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Another name was saying, everyone's talking about guys we could have drafted instead of Lively. Anyway, but so I'm very excited about what we're witnessing right now. And then it's not a case of, oh man, we have to get it because we don't know what next year can bring us. No, there's still avenues. There's a lot of avenues for us to get better next year too. Even trade a couple people, like a Tim Hardaway Jr. with now they have the emergence of Hardy, who's been almost, he can be your irrationally confident person. And then we got Omax. Thanks, Frank. We got Omax, who's not even playing. I'm seeing a lot of good things from Omax.
Yeah, I don't think Omax is going to get minutes in the finals unless we're talking
No. I'm just saying
for time late series.
For next year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
As a prospect, definitely someone to keep an eye on as well.
Every level was once a prospect.
Cowboy X Factor. If Mavs win the finals, maybe DDP shaves the beard. Listen, there's not many things I will shave the beard for, but if Dallas gets a title, I will shave the beard. I will gladly.
You would?
I would gladly, dude. If for a title, yes. Kidding me? That's my beard grows back out pretty quick. That's not a high stakes thing for me.
I shaved my beard not too long ago. My wife laughed at me for like 3 minutes.
I take 10 years off my age or whatever as soon as I shave my beard.
Yeah.
And I did it a couple, like 2-3 months back or something like that. And I did a video or something, and people were like, "The hell happened to DDP? What's happening? Like, am I in a time machine? Like, what's going on?" Like, look, to be fair, I looked younger in that video than I did when I did my first prospect video, but that's just a combination of the weight loss and the no beard.
Oh yeah.
So
that's funny.
Yep. But check this stat out. Jason Kidd now third all-time for playoff wins as a Maverick coach with 21. Trails just Rick Carlisle and Avery Johnson. Rick Carlisle had 33. Avery had 23. Interesting.
Jason Kidd, he's completely turned his whole perception around. It was even this.
We were talking fire Jason Kidd in February.
It got low. I'll tell you that, especially after last year. It was definitely low, but he's definitely proven some things. He got some monkeys off his backs, and whatever idioms you want to use, Jason Kidd did that. So he signed his extension. I was initially like, we could have waited to do that, but now I'm completely okay with it because we're seeing it. The overall environment of the locker room, of practices, of the team is almost infectious. You're seeing that people enjoy being around each other, and players are beginning to noticing that, especially when you have a highly regarded player like a Kyrie going through what he's gone through, and then coming to Dallas and then seeing how much he's enjoying playing basketball, how much he's at peace, how much the fans love and respect him, even beyond him being a basketball player, which that's something that was very important to Kyrie. So like players are probably looking, hey, maybe circling back to the 13 years that we've existed in between 2011 and this year, maybe players in the offseason will look to Dallas because of the environment that we have cultivated through these couple of years.
Yeah,
that we're seeing it's not this it's not a corny type of environment like the OKC where people are barking and you're doing group interviews and stuff like that. But it's like, man, you come here, you can enjoy going to work and go back, and you don't have to have people yelling in your face or stuff like that, like working in LA or something like that.
I got a question for you. Is it possible that Jason Kidd is on a Tim Hardaway Jr. burner right now as far as coaching? Are the highs just that dizzyingly high and the lows that bad? And what I'm saying, is it possible that we weren't wrong then? See how I'm trying to figure this out. We weren't wrong then necessarily, but it was worth hanging on because now we're having our moment here.
Man, I hope he doesn't have.
I can't.
Even long.
Yeah, we need at least a couple more weeks of this burner. But yeah, no, I don't know. When I think back to like the low moments of the season, I'm convinced for one, and I don't think this is like necessarily the worst thing. Jason Kidd is not above gaslighting his own fan base. His comments he makes in post game, there's no way he believes the things he says. Even in the playoffs, the Harden thing, game 4, when you let Harden get 3 straight floaters, and you're like, that was our best shot. That was our best. No,
Yeah,
the hell it was not. Tell me you don't put Lively in the game in that moment and get a better result on one of those possessions. But like, I get when he gave greater context, I'm like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But no, the way you present it, like we're the crazy ones, just makes us feel that much crazier and hate you more. So like, I see those moments and I see moments we had in the regular season. And I'm like, the important thing is that the team does respond to him. As much as we think of like the idea of Jason Kidd as a player, the floor general and all that, like he really is a player's coach above all. He is good at game-to-game adjustments. And if he ever figures out, which he's done a pretty good job of here lately, in-game adjustments, then he might be like a great coach. But at the very least, yeah, Kyrie idolizing him growing up, again, New Jersey and all that, that connection right there, special for him. He already came in with a willingness to listen. Also, the fact that Kyrie kind of was at a crossroads with his career where it's like, look, if this flames out with Dallas again, unless like I find a way to just jump on with LA and LeBron in that offseason, this might be like, you know, a crucial spot for me where like maybe someone takes a chance on me, but probably not a team competing for anything really. So it was that. And to his credit, he's absolutely delivered on that. But yeah, Kidd deserves a lot of credit for how he's managed these players. And we've not seen Kidd and Luka clash the way that we saw like Luka and Rick clash.
Or Rick and Jason Kidd clash. Or Rick.
Yeah, that was true. But when Kidd first came here, they clashed a lot, and they had to have kind of a closed door meeting to sort that out because Rick wanted to just control everything. And then when you see how he called those late game situations in the Eastern Finals, you think like, maybe Kidd was right. Maybe we don't give the players enough credit for 2011 because we're like, and Rick was brilliant. Like,
maybe he was okay.
Yeah. But I mean, this team won 38 games last year, and now here they are in the finals. Like, it's one of the greatest like glow ups in recent years. And like the fact that it's as much as anything, it's not just running back the same group of guys and like, oh, Kidd got a better result. Like, no, it was a rebuild. Like, it was an on the fly rebuild and adjustment between Lively and then the trades that they made for Gafford and PJ Washington. Like, that's the core of your team, and the signing of Derek Jones Jr. Also giving credit as well to Exum. So
yeah, so on that note, we do really have to give a lot of flowers to Nico Harrison.
Yeah.
Because the way he GM'd, the difference between how he GMs and then how Donnie did his GMing. I felt like Donnie did his GMing it was very simplistic.
Yeah.
His approach to GMing is like, oh, we need to get said player. We need to make X room to get said player. You know what I mean? Instead of while you look at Miami has like 18 players that they're interested in, all of them all-stars and above. And we're just kind of like, how the F does Miami even have money to do this? Where I was like, okay, let's get the commitment first, and then we'll make the finances work. We'll make the finances work by whatever means, right? And now we're looking, at the situation after last year. We had to go ahead and tank those couple of games, and we were like a game and a half or a game away from the 10th seed. But it's almost like, why go for it where we can immediately make our situation so much more better?
Well, yeah, and you would have lost that first round pick to close out the Porzingis thing.
Yeah,
and then you wouldn't have gotten Lively.
But also. Not even just that. So just to harpen back to my point of how the difference between GMing. So we got that first round pick, but it didn't even end there. It was, I got this first round pick and turned it into going back 2 spots, getting rid of a really bad contract that we wanted to get rid of, getting another first round pick and a player back, which returned that player into eventually Daniel Gafford and another pick. But we didn't have enough picks to get, what was it, PJ? So we went to Oklahoma City and said, hey, let's trade a swap or something. I can't even recall.
I think it was a swap.
Yeah, so let's trade a swap or something like that. And then so we added another first round pick to our repertoire or whatever, and then we use that to swing a trade to get. So it was like we never really saw stuff like that with Donnie Nelson. It was almost kind of like, hey, this is a trade of 1-for-1. I can throw in a pick. And cool.
It's the difference of 3D chess versus paint by numbers, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So we're using more with Nico. It's like we're using more, I guess, avenues and more ways to wheel and deal.
A lot more creative.
Yeah, well, definitely a lot more creative versus how it was just like, oh, we need to make a max slot, so we're just going to not sign players or sign a bunch of players to 1-year deals so that by the time next year comes around, we're able to have enough for planned powder dry, whatever the hell it was called, to sign a max player. Whereas like, no, you can just sign these players and then trade them.
Yeah.
Or do something else. Like you don't have to suck this 1 year or not be committed long term to so many players, because players will eventually catch on to like, no, I'm not gonna freaking sign to you if you're only gonna sign me for 1 year so you can
position for this other thing. Yeah,
exactly. So
do we still have, I remember we brought over that like salary cap guru or whatever from Brooklyn who facilitated the 3 superstar lineup they got. Is he still here?
I don't think he's here anymore. I think we got another guy from we got another guy from Utah.
Okay.
And he was a person that suggested we go after Exum. That was the connection. It was the same guy that drafted Dante Exum back when he was in Utah. And so we got that person. I don't know what his current role is today, but I know he was one of the main factors in getting Dante today. Yeah, so
nice
to him.
Yep. Okay. I was just curious on that because I was, you were talking about like tangents, like the Exum thing. I was like, oh, is that part of like the Kyrie to Dallas thing? Like figuring out how to facilitate that and the new deal. And again, as we're talking about the creativity of it, this guy was like a cap guru or something. Maybe there was something there, but he's also not a name that I know off the top of my head, and I haven't heard shit about him in a couple of years. So I was like, I don't know if he's here. Probably not.
Yeah.
All right.
But it was definitely some high level wheeling and dealing that we're able to salvage. You were 8 seed, about 6 games over 500 going into the deadline. And we are obviously looking at our team. We're like, okay, there are some deficiencies, and how can we take care of this?
Yeah.
And we said it like, okay, we have a really good starting center, but he's young, and we all have absolutely no problem with him coming off the bench or starting him and having another very capable center coming off the bench. Let's make a deal, right? We ended up using OKC, which weirdly enough, they didn't even try to swing for themselves to get a Daniel Gafford. In fact, they helped us get Daniel Gafford, which in turn,
it really is like like as much credit as Presti got for accumulating the draft capital they did in all their trading, whether it was Westbrook, Paul George, whoever, like Chris Paul, like all these guys that he dealt out and got huge assets for. It really is borderline like general manager malpractice what he did at the deadline. And at the time on paper, I was like, oh, the Hayward thing, maybe not bad. Maybe I could give them something, but like they had other needs. Yeah. And the fact that was their undoing is like, as a Mavericks fan, I'm like, that's just so sweet. But as a sort of secondary Thunder fan, I'm like, you dumbass. Like, the hell? How do you waste a prime opportunity like that?
Exactly. And it's not like he's old. He's what, 20? How old is Gafford? Do you know? 25?
No, 25.
Yeah, 25. He's on a 3-year deal. I know he signed a deal here recently. So
I think him and PJ's contracts have like the same amount of time left.
So I mean, perfect.
PJ signed a 3-year deal coming into this year, I believe.
So yeah,
that's wild too, because I remember PJ and Gafford talking about PJ and free agency, and like it didn't matter because he ended up signing, but it was just like, man, would it be like to get that kind of guy on the team? Now you flash forward, and it's just like, yeah, we were onto something when we asked for it to be like.
we're smart. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just funny. I remember saying this way back when that trade went down, and we saw some results, and I was like, PJ and Gafford were exactly who we thought. Were PJ and Gafford are what Josh Richardson and James Johnson were sold to us to be. So
yep. Here's what I've learned from this postseason. Barking you're gonna lose.
Mm.
The Thunder, that was their whole bit all year. To be fair, it's not like they just did it for the playoffs. But the barking bit didn't work. And then in Game 4, Anthony Edwards was the one barking. When they did the hot mic thing, like kind of hearing like his sounds from the game, you hear him and making plays in crunch time and barking. And I was just like, don't do it, man. Don't do it. You might as well be following up that barking with that post-game workout. Like, it's not gonna go well for you. He's like doing the one knee droppers, like, hur, hur. it's like, all right, man, you're phoning it in. We already see where Game 5 is going.
Yeah, no. That Timberwolves after Game 4, they looked mad comfortable after Game 4. And you can almost see it that they were just in hindsight, I guess you can see they were so happy not to get swept.
That's what it was. They just didn't want to be completely humiliated.
Yeah.
They got the way I liked hearing it put was, it's a gentleman sweep, a 5-game thing, but it was just about the rudest gentleman sweep you can give.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we hung around for 4 games. Hey, you got one. Congrats. Now we're going to bury your ass right in front of your own crowd and just make you look bad. Like we're going to do that. But to be fair.
Yeah.
Naz Reid again taking that shot at Lively. I was like, that's the one moment from the game last night where I was like, I want to jump through the damn TV right now. I would die, but I want to jump through the TV right now because, like, given the context of that moment, like, that was a flagrant 1. I don't know how that doesn't get a flagrant 2 because you cannot tell me. They're like, yes.
It definitely was it seemed excessive too.
Yeah, it's on the back of the head, the back of the neck. In any other situation, bare minimum, flagrant 1. But everybody knows what Lively went through in Game 3. So it's like, maybe clocking that guy precisely there on a play where you're already beat.
Yeah.
Like, you're just trying to, like, break up a fast break point in a game that's already a blowout.
Yeah.
That's a flagrant 2. And like some idiots on Twitter are like, oh, it's not their fault. It's not their fault that the Mavericks just didn't disclose his concussion. Like, he didn't even have to go into concussion protocol. Every bit of treatment he got was for a neck sprain.
Yeah.
Like, you're just going on something else where you're just like blinded by your fandom. But any other situation, any other team, flip that situation. Mavericks do that to Naz Reid. Let's say they do that to Naz Reid after he gets his bare minimum bell rung in a game, misses a game and comes back and then immediately gets clocked in the head or neck like that. Are they sitting there saying like, oh, it's just basketball, bro. It's just playoff basketball. Or are they like calling for our heads?
No.
What would the equivalent be for us? Who would have been the guy? Who would have been the Naz Reid in our situation doing that?
It would have been it's definitely Derek Lively.
Derek Jones would have been, Derek Jones would have been the one doing it. So are they calling for Derek Jones's head at that point, or are they just going like, oh, come and foul? Just line it up. Miss me with that. Also, Finch, miss me with your illegal screen bullshit, because the audacity of a man who employs Rudy Gobert crying about illegal screens is hysterical. Like, absolutely hysterical. Look, the NBA, we know about the rules of everything of it and how it's ridiculous. Every possession has a carry. Every possession has a travel. We know. This is just the unfortunate state of the game today. Screens are not officiated nearly as well as they should be. But for you to be over there crying about what the Mavericks are doing is the kettle calling the pot black or whatever.
Yep, that's how it goes.
You're casting stones in a glass house. Whatever idiom do I need at this point? Like, we know the point. We know what
full
we're
of
saying.
idioms today, aren't we?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous how they're
full of them, but don't know how any one of them go.
Yeah,
but yeah,
absolutely wild.
Totally, yeah. He had a couple. I mean, he's a king of illegal screens.
Yep.
He's the king of over the backs. A bunch of weird calls. I forgot. There was one call last night. I think we shot the ball and it was going to be an air ball, and I think it was Lively got the rebound, and the way it was going, it wasn't like it was coming off the rim. So Lively didn't need to go over anyone's head to get it. He just like caught it, and as he jumped to get it, Cat kind of like backed up into him.
Yeah, and they called it over the back.
Over the back, and I was like, he definitely didn't go over the back to even get the or the quote unquote rebound. Like,
yeah,
he caught it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was definitely weird. some weird stuff going on. So yeah, Fitch definitely that whole many illegal screens comment was definitely some bullshit.
It was wild. I'm glad Dallas just buried him and didn't even give it a chance. That's the best thing because it's a statement, and that's what you needed. You didn't just need the win; you needed a statement going into this. People are still going to pick Boston. I don't even disagree with that because I do think pound for pound, Boston. The only question for me about Boston is the combo of Luka and Kyrie so special on this stage that it overcomes, or is it that Boston is so untested this postseason that they're going to get in those late games? I don't care if they were winning squeakers against, what was that backcourt for Indiana at the end?
Nembhard and Neesmith.
Yeah, you're winning squeakers against those guys. I don't count that as real, like, that's not battle tested.
Yeah.
It's either that Luka and Kyrie on this stage are so great that it just overcomes it, or it's that Boston is so untested on this playoff run that even with as much experience as they have overall, when it's Luka and Kyrie bludgeoning you over the head and hitting the degree of difficulty shots that they do in crunch time, that's when you start to kind of go like, oh shit, we're not very well practiced in this.
This is different. Yeah. And even to your point too, like if you actually go back and rewatch that series against the Indiana Pacers with the Boston Celtics, many people will argue like if the Pacers actually executed,
if Rick Carlisle doesn't Rick Carlisle
30% more than what they did, like 30% better. There are some in some alternate universe. There's a case where, and not alternate universe far away. Like this could be like the next one over.
Yeah. Earth 1A.
Yeah. Earth. But Pacers could be up 3-1. Yeah. Like if they don't give up, if what's his name doesn't make that 3-pointer to tie it up in game one, if they don't get these weird turnovers at the end of the game and many other end game situations, like the Pacers gave away many opportunities to win games against the Celtics. So it's by any means, this is not a heavily favored series on either side. Like, it's going to be a dogfight. It's probably going to go like we said 6 or 7 for Minnesota. And I think this series is going to be, in terms of going into it, it should be viewed as the same way as I guess how we viewed the Minnesota series, or how like Tim Legler viewed the Minnesota series. Yes, Boston should be favored.
Yeah,
but I think the Mavericks are going to win. And I think a lot of people are beginning to wake up to the Mavericks and what their capabilities are. And, man, maybe we have been sleeping on Luka Doncic's greatness this whole time, trying to prop other players up or just trying to downright ignore it, or focus on some other aspects of his game that we don't really care about, like his complaining or whatever. But, it was right there for the whole world to watch. You didn't have any other thing going on yesterday. There was no other Celtics games. It was just prime time, Western Conference Finals basketball, and Lucas drops 20 points within the first 6-7 minutes of the game. And we're just like, oh shit. Like, good luck with that, Boston.
Yeah, man. The whole idea of this team, as I look at it, like, the first 2 rounds went 6. But as I'm thinking about like this team, it's like the only opponent who's really like landed a solid shot on us, it feels like, is the Clippers. And Luka was not Luka at all in that series. That was his worst series. Like, I think he had like 1 good game in there. In OKC, I think he had like 2.5 good games. But that was the only team that ever like was blowing us out at any point.
What would you say? What would you say a good shot is? I kind of have my definition.
Making it look like when they're on their game, we're just not in their league. That's the 29-point lead they had in game 1 and the 31-point lead they had in game 4.
Okay.
OKC had it like OKC game 1 looked like they might be in another class, but I never felt like watching that. Man, the overall difference might just be a wide enough gap that we just can't hang with them. No, even with that game 1 OKC, I was like, it might be 6 or 7, but I still think Dallas is the better team.
We're on the same wavelength, but I would say a good shot, especially those first 2 series, will be if both of us are playing a regular game, you win.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that in the first 2 series. It was, you had to shoot 60% from 3 to win a game. And then I think the Clippers or whatever, the only 2 times they won is when they shot 60 from 3 in game 4 or whatever, when they shot 50. And so I remember on Twitter, someone was asking me, was like, what's your confidence meter on the Clippers series? I'm like, let me see how they do when they actually shoot like around league, like they're shooting way above league average from 3. That's not sustainable. And then when it came down to regular levels, they couldn't hang. I don't think fair. OKC. I don't see OKC did that too. They shot very well game 1, as well. But when they shot back to something's close to what their season average was, they lost.
That's fair. I just feel like those are the only 2 games, and one of them we came all the way back and even took the lead. But those are the only 2 games that watching it, I was just like, it's not happening tonight. Not happening in this game. And I mean, hell, even game 1, you cut it down to 15 with like 8.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter before Jason Kidd said, Tim Hardaway, get in there. So yeah, that's just kind of where that's at. But I think those are but the point being, the first round's really the only time that like a team to me, or even it kind of sounds like to you, like really landed a shot where you're just like, are we going to be able to get through this? Are we going to be able to overcome this? I never had that fear with OKC. I thought they might get us in the end, but if they do, it's not going to be because they were just a better team. It's just going to be, it came down to late execution or something like that in like a game 6 or 7. The only time I had fear was like seeing, especially game 1 of that Clipper series, where I was like, and Kawhi is going to be back. Yeah. Now we didn't know what Kawhi was going to be coming back. But I was
exactly.
Like, okay. Yep. Flashback, PTSD.
Yeah, there's definitely some tight sphincters after game 1, but at the same time, it was just like, they did shoot like 60%, and I'm always going back to sustainable winning. Because I remember 21, and I remember how high we got after those 2 games, and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna sweep them. But in the back of my mind, I remember doing those shows too, but in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, but Tim is shooting like 60% from 3. Like Tim was on like a 2-game
LA, but I got high.
Exactly. And then when we came back to normal levels, man, it was definitely tougher. Clippers came back, beat us in our home. And then game 7 happened, and what's his name went on a freaking just miraculous. Kawhi Leonard just went nuclear and was backed up by more capable players, where Luka went nuclear too, but he looked to his left and it was Tim Hardaway. He looked to his right and it was Trey Burke. He looked up and it was Boban Marjanovic.
I thought you were going to say the face of God going, no.
He looked up and he was in Boban Marjanovic as a starting center going into a game 7 against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and the Clippers.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I don't know how you're going to do it, but hopefully he can find a way. But unfortunately we didn't get it done there, but you give Lucas some more capable players and hey, look what happens. You're in the finals. That's crazy.
I do think this is Boston properly. So I do think is the toughest challenge that we've faced.
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously, if it had worked out differently and Denver had come out of the series with Minnesota, same thing, that would have been more challenging. I say same thing, but I also remember when the Thunder first became a team, how annoyed everyone in Oklahoma City got every time they just said Oklahoma Thunder. So I guess I should correct that. Minnesota had Denver come out of the Minnesota series. That I think would have been a harder matchup than Minnesota was for us.
I honestly think I
only say that because of the star power. Jokic has arrived.
Yeah.
You still have Anthony Edwards on the upswing, and I don't care. Ant is not a superstar. Sorry, not Ant. Excuse me. Not the slander I was going for. Cat is not a superstar in my opinion. He's a star, not a superstar. You said this on Twitter the other night. There's levels to this superstar conversation. He is not a superstar.
Oh yeah, he's barely an all-star. He's fighting for all-star status right now. But I still think I honestly think we would have fared really well against the Denver Nuggets. I think offensively,
I think we would have beat them.
I think we would have beat them too. I don't think it would have
been 5. I think it would have been 6 or 7.
Okay, maybe so, because they probably could execute better in the closing. But I still think, in terms of tools on what they had to go against the Mavericks, they lacked defensively, especially even more than what the Timberwolves had. Right? Because who's guarding Luka on their end? Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If Luka gets past Gordon, who's helping him out on the back end? Jokic? Is Jokic protecting that? Is Jokic protecting that back end? Nah, he's not. And it would have been lob galore, right? And then they're probably have to work if they tried to adjust off of that to save from the lobs. So who else is going to be MPJ? You're going to try to do that the length on Luka? I don't think it goes as well. And then we have at least bodies to throw at Nikola Jokic to somewhat keep things hard on him. And then I don't think as good as Jamal Murray is, I think people got high on him just because of the championship run. Because people were going crazy saying he's probably the best point guard in the league. I was like, no. People, hold your horses.
Yeah,
he's not even.
Conversations change just because you have a title sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless you're the Mavericks, in which case everyone went right back to disrespecting us.
Well, Chris Bosh did say Dirk Nowitzki is the best player in the world. So he did say that. Well, after
that's true. And LeBron, as much as I've had distaste for him over the years, even when Wade and Bosh, you said Bosh kind of came full circle on that, but when they would talk about, like, even when they beat the Spurs in that comeback in Game 7 to win that title, that second title, even then, Wade and Bosh were saying like, oh, this was our hardest won champion, or this was our hardest challenge yet. And LeBron's like, I don't know, Dallas series made me have to look at myself and figure out how I can be better. So like, I always at least respected that answer from LeBron, even though never have been a huge fan of his otherwise. And I've always appreciated when Dirk would throw him shade or just not let him jump on the clout of other people's moments. Like LeBron trying to dap him up after that All-Star thing. And Dirk's like, I'm good. And just walks off the floor. Leave LeBron hanging. I was like, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You want to acknowledge some comments?
Yeah. Feel free. Jump in.
But first of all, Manny, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Coulier. He definitely gave you a shout out. I'm not sure if you caught that.
On what, the weight loss thing?
Yeah.
He said, I saw that. I threw it on the screen for a moment because I'm just vain enough to want that somebody complimenting me and be like, you all saw that, right? Yeah. That was unsolicited. Yes, I saw that. I appreciate that, Manny.
You'll get a notification about your Cash App payment here soon.
The check will clear.
The check will indeed. I'm using my freaking work computer again. Hold on. Yeah, X Factor. All Keyshawn said was, but have you been kind of like watching shows? I'm not sure like how.
No, I don't listen to any of them because it's so insufferable to me to listen to the state of basketball discourse now, or just sports discourse in general. I only catch highlights when people are like really whipped up in a frenzy on Twitter over it.
Gotcha. It's kind of like when I have to do a lot of busy work at work at my place of work, which is my office at my apartment. I just kind of have stuff like that going on in the background just so I can kind of see what the national media is saying about the Mavericks now that we're good. So it kind of flips for me. So when we're not so good, I really lock into what.
Oh no, I misclicked and put it back on the screen.
Were you looking for a comment?
No. I wasn't looking for it when you asked about it, but I did just scroll back to find it now to throw it back up.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, well deserved, man. You came along. Hey, if I lost that much weight, I'll want some kudos too. Any time it would have been given to me, I'll definitely
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
My ego doesn't need much help. You'll get the comment every now and then where someone's like, "When did Ryan Gosling start a podcast?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Oh my." I was like, "Is this what positive attention looks like?" My word. Mercy me.
Yeah, that's funny.
I'll take Costco Ryan Reynolds or Costco Ryan Gosling, whatever you want to say with that.
You're not a Costco Ryan Reynolds. You are a HEB Ryan Reynolds.
Okay, all right. I thought you were gonna say like great value, and I was like, all right, knock me down a little bit. I'm still standing. I'll take it. Wish.com. Oh,
what is it? What's that other website that's supposed to be rivaling Amazon Temu or something like that?
Yeah.
You're a Temu. Anyway, I've tried to find some comments, but it looks like you guys are just talking to each other. But shout out to TGK. TGK is always doing great. He's the unofficial pregame. Mavs pregame Mavs show.
Yeah.
So definitely check him out. He usually comes on about an hour before game time and stops pretty much around the listed start time, even though it takes them 10 to 15 minutes after they say they're going to start to actually start. But that's neither here or there.
He does great content too. And it's also with takes like this. No, I'm kidding.
No,
his stuff is great. Love having that. I've had him on once or twice now.
TGK, what game were you at recently? I think he was at game 3 of this, and I think he made a vlog about it. It was very fun.
Yeah.
Y'all should check it out. And hopefully I'm right. Cowboys X Factor. I haven't acknowledged you in a long time, but it's always good to see you. Frank, of course. Frank follows me on Twitter. Always interacting with him, so he's awesome. This is a question I wanted to ask you that left my mind. This week, that we're not going to have basketball.
Mm-hmm.
What are your plans? And do you think, kind of reminiscing into the dark ages, just so you can be like, look, like kind of like a starter from the bottom, now we're here type week? Would you want to do something like that?
Would I want to do you're saying a throwback?
Yeah, just like a show, like look how far we've come. You remember the dog days of doing research about Dennis Smith Jr. and I still stand by that.
Sort of like a clip show sort of thing, and then we just have an episode talking about it afterwards or something. I mean,
because I want to see some bad takes, some takes that came to fruition years later or whatever.
There are definitely moments from the show that I wish we had just the individial little clips of those moments, because they're just lost into the 600 some odd videos that are on the channel. Where I'm like, I know the reference, I have no idea if I could ever find it again.
Yeah, exactly. So much content on Dallas Prospect. You guys should check it out.
I thought you were gonna. I'm cool for that. I thought you were gonna be asking like, oh, what are your plans for that week? I'm like, well, the players got to get some rest, and so do I. It's hard work doing these shows. I'm going to ice my vocal cords, and I'm going to go through and really just try to rest up. I got to get my rest. I'm down with some sort of throwback show. We just got to figure out format wise what we think that looks like, and if that's actually something that people are interested in seeing. It's always interesting to look back and see like the early days of Prospect, especially because I'm so unrecognizable at this point.
So that comment back up.
But people like tune into the stream, they'll see that version of me and they'll be like, the fuck did he eat overnight?
holy shit, 1 week of no basketball, he turned to this.
Yeah, he said he was resting for a week. I didn't realize he was resting at McDonald's. What the hell?
We should definitely check out, at least, if not, did we do a live stream for the 2018 draft? Or
live stream? No.
Okay, did we do I'm sure we did a reaction
Yeah, we did reaction, and I remember we had another contributor helping us with like writing, like breaking down the draft profiles. That one would be funny to look back on. I don't want to throw people under the bus, but our guy that we had for back when Dallas Prospect had website content. Spoiler to people who maybe didn't realize that I stopped doing that, but if you're just now realizing it, then you didn't go to the page enough to realize it's been gone for 2 years. Sorry, I just clipped the mic. Yeah, we had one of our guys that's like, yeah, I got this draft thing, I got all this, and his Luka take. I was like, ooh, I don't agree with that. And then looking back at it, I'm like, oh, I'm glad that was your name on that article and not mine.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. We'll move on. We'll move along.
Yeah.
But
yeah, hey, my takes were much better.
Yours were good. Yours were good.
Yeah, they were much better. I remember being quite the MPJ.
Hey, to be fair, he's nice. He's just not. I mean, like
He's
as
not
an
Luka.
alternative, as an alternative, it would have been a bad choice. Not as bad as like taking DeAndre Ayton over Luka. That would just be atrocious. You imagine if somebody could say that, or Marvin Bagwell?
That's probably almost as bad as Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Some might say that. Some might have said that.
Yeah.
Some anonymous GM or something might have said that. Yeah,
probably. I might have been that anonymous GM.
I like Cole's question here. He's like, it's already there in the chat, but I'll throw it up on the screen as well.
Mm-hmm.
He says, what did the Mavs do better than you thought that made the series 5 games that made me, why basically we were nervous going into the series, why you had Wolves in 7, Trader, and I had Mavs in 7. And then what did the Mavs do to make it actually Mavs in 5? Honestly, I didn't think, I knew Lively would be huge to the series. I didn't realize that he would be so far and away already better than Rudy Gobert, that he would outplay Rudy Gobert. I mean, offensively, that's not a challenge, but like defensively, I didn't think that he would already be playing. Rudy Gobert on an island out guarding anybody away from the basket was comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he would try and take on that assignment as often as he did was like, I don't know what you're doing, but thank you. And then like him deciding in game 5, like it's Rudy time, Rudy, and taking 7 shots in the first quarter. I was like, thank you. Luka's going on a burner, and you're over here thinking you're the guy to stop him, like to match him. Like just absolutely wild. So yeah, I mean, part of it was just the concern about like the complete team defense that they have, and how they would be able to. I didn't think Dallas had an answer for Naz Reid, and for the games he was hitting, they didn't. But he kind of cooled off as the series went along, and so I look at that, and then I just think that Finch, maybe part of it was I still wasn't giving Kidd enough credit, because I thought Finch was going to be able to do more to disrupt Dallas. And really, with the exception of that one game, and I don't even think that was so much about what they did, so much as we just weren't there that game. We weren't connecting enough on that game 4. But I mean, again, 3 of these games were decided by 5 points or less. So, or 4 of these games were decided by 5 points or less. So you look at it that way, and it's like saying 6 or 7 either way wasn't that far off. It's just we were the team that got through it and got through enough of them that we won it in 5.
Well, for me, the thing that I was worried about was the physicality. So we took care of the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were, to me, were so severely undersized in terms of how much weight those guys carried, and we're going in from that series to a. That's funny. I remember that. But going into another series where, essentially that advantage that we had, that we were so used to watching, has completely gone away. And on top of that, they also have the ability to stretch. And if you just subbed in Naz Reid for Rudy Gobert, now they can go a 5 out, which is something that the Mavericks tended to struggle with all our game when we harken back to the games versus the Pacers or the Celtics, when KP went off and Miles Turner went off. So I was thinking, how my thought process was, how are we going to deal with that versus a team that also has tools to possibly stop Luka, possibly not stop, but give Luka some trouble, give Kyrie some trouble.
thought war of attrition. I thought Luka, what we saw the first 2 rounds, going just an extra round deeper in with more physicality. I just thought it was going to catch up and it was going to slow him down enough.
Yeah. I definitely didn't have Luka Doncic getting more healthy as this season, as that series progressed in my bingo card. But it happened.
It's kind of wild how much of sports media has evolved into like anime discussions and references. I get it, our generation, right? Like Toonami and all that, but it's kind of wild. Like you see like people like Bleacher Report or ESPN putting out graphics where I'm like, that's just Super Saiyan Luka. Like that's dope. But it's weird seeing ESPN putting that out. But that's kind of what happened here was, Luka, you're the Saiyan, you're getting your ass kicked or whatever. You're Goku getting his ass beat on Namek or something. Then something pisses you off. A fan calls you a crybaby. And next thing you know, you're unlocking a new power level. And it's like you were never hurt to begin with. It's like a whole new level. Yes, Luka's bloody knees is what activates his power. That's it. He's over there on the bench scratching at that scab underneath his tights because he's like, get going, activate the anger.
Or a fan talking shit to Luka is the equivalent of Krillin dying, which causes Goku going Super Saiyan.
Yep. Yeah.
Anyway, it's definitely some weird stuff. But yeah, I mean, but to our credit, I mean, as we were going through we were talking through our thoughts on that series, our confidence meter probably went from, let's say 3 to maybe I would say 4 to about like 7, 8, and it was just kind of like, no, I think the Mavericks can actually make this a series and can be very competitive. I don't know what information that we were saying that kind of brought us out the ledge, but it definitely I guess good points were made.
Yep. I very interested in kind of going into this. Now it's all speculation, of course. Frank asks, what do you think of Ant saying the Wolves never click together as a team? There's a few things to take from that. Subjective, but I definitely kind of have the feeling of, we talked about it earlier, every time Cat would just decide it's cat time, we were cheering. Only once did it bite us. But I think that the moment where you would still kind of have this almost like power struggle where, yes, we said, especially this year, that Ant ascended to be that number one guy, that guy for Minnesota. And yet when they got to this stage, it still felt like Cat was kind of trying to wrestle it back. And most of the time it was to the detriment of the team. So maybe it's in reference to that. Maybe it's a little bit of frustration there. Maybe it's also just people, a little bit being sick of like Rudy Gobert and stuff. Like, again, Rudy had a bad series. And so there's something to be said. Like Gobert, he's a wonderfully talented defensive player in the paint. His impact, his contributions to the regular season. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. But when you get to the postseason, it's a lot of these unique matchups these days, just with the way the game has evolved. The guys that can go, teams that can go 5 out, like they're going to attack. Like imagine if it was the Thunder there instead of them. What would his impact have been then? Now it would have been different because he wouldn't have had a Lively contending with him or a Gafford, but he still would have been fighting with 5 out kind of offense and stuff. And so I still feel like he would have had probably a little bit of a bad series. I just think that Dallas was perfectly suited to just destroy him no matter where he was on the floor, essentially. So it probably is a little bit of frustration with some of these guys that either came up small or kind of were stepping on that moment that was really tailor-made for Ant to try and ascend. Like, it's all speculation, but that's my feeling. What do you think?
Well, for this quote, and I don't know if he meant it this way, that the Wolves never clicked together. Every time he was on a heater, there was really no one else to really back him up. Sometimes that can literally just be because the defenses were executing better than what the other defense previous was doing, right? And so, yeah, you guys you went off against the Denver Nuggets or something like that. You gave them a hard time just because you did that in the series before. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be the series hereafter, or that's something to expect going for the rest of the playoffs.
Sure,
it could be just because, hey, we have different types of defenders here in Dallas. Right? We're a little bit more athletic than what Denver had. were a little bit more longer than what Denver had outside of Aaron Gordon.
Mhm.
And you guys just probably weren't, I guess prepared or just ready for it. You know what I mean? Timing is everything, and just the way the Mavericks play defense probably threw off their timing a lot more. Getting guys getting shooters out of their spots, making them drive, and then making it a lot harder to score on the inside. You know what I mean? In analytical basketball, where it's all about threes and layups, if you make it really hard for one aspect of that, it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to win games, right?
Yep.
So if you're going in and you're converting your layups at the rim at a 40, 45% level, right? It's not that easy to win games when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's probably contributing to why your team isn't clicking as well as it did versus the Denver Nuggets, where you guys probably it was a lot easier for you guys to navigate offensively because the perimeter defense is not as long and as athletic as what the Dallas had, and the interior defenses wasn't as formidable as what you went up against in Dallas. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying Ant is wrong, but or if he meant it in where that's the reason why they lost is because they just didn't click as a whole team. And maybe I don't know if he's thinking it had nothing to do with what the Mavericks are doing. It just had all to do. It's we lost versus they beat us, but that can very well be because of what Dallas is doing to them defensively. It's making them that off, out of sync like that.
That's fair.
Mhm.
And yeah, I didn't have the full context of it. I just kind of saw the same snapshot as him. So
Yeah.
that's probably fair, because I would be a little surprised on that, because that would be juicy drama that does not bode well for a team that's young and believed to be on an upswing if you're talking about like chemistry related stuff or clashing. So for their sake, I hope that's the case. For my sake and just preferring to be done with them, I'm like, no, have your squabbles, have that. But yeah, so very, very interesting here. So as we kind of go into this last little stretch here, because we've already been going for nearly 2 hours. I did not think this was going to be a 2-hour stream, but that's cool. It's cool.
It's a celebration.
It is.
Welcome to the China Club. Chang.
Yeah. So I liked somebody kind of had the comment talking about like the confidence meter with Boston should maybe rise similar to, I think it was Cole, should rise similar to how our confidence did going into the Wolves series. As we talked about it more, talked through it more. I'm not prepared for that discussion yet, but what I will say is I think, as I said earlier, this is our hardest challenge yet, but I'm also kind of past the point of doubting this team. Like, I might have said something similar in 2022, but what I said and what I felt weren't the same. I said it because I wanted to believe it, but I also knew 2022, and we talked about it all postseason, had very clear, very evident flaws that they could not do anything about, and it was winning in spite of those things. That is not the case this time around. This is like, this team has not lost back-to-back games in the postseason yet. They've won, 7 road games already?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this team is stacked. They are built.
There is a good chance that 22 team loses that lead, because it did dip below 20.
Oh, you're saying if they were up 3-0 on the Wolves?
No, not 3-0, but at least that lead in game 5.
Yeah.
Because it did dip below 20 points at a point.
Yeah.
They did make a run, and we were prone to losing those type of games with past rosters. But again, because we have Kyrie and Luka backed up with guys who are actually capable of playing defense, it's very, it's harder for us to give up those leads like we did back in the day. But anyway, that's besides the point.
Who do you think? Let me ask you this. This is the only preview talk we'll have of the finals here beyond what we've already said.
The preview to the finals preview. How about
the preview to the preview. The teaser, if you will. Because we're always a tease here at the Dallas Prospect. I was like, the fuck's he? Oh. Who, if you had to pick a single player, who do you think is a potential surprise X factor for this series? And surprise could be
X factor
for Dallas. Who steps up, or who's the difference that the other team just doesn't have much of an answer for? Because I've already had a conversation about, I've already drawn a comparison or a parallel for one particular player, and I'm prepared to go back to that same hill and plant the flag.
Talking about, was it Exum?
No, I am not. That is a hill I did not want to die on. But that is my one bad prediction this postseason, is that Exum would be. I had that in the first round. I said he would be an X factor, and
I'm trying to think. So I'm trying to go through the matchups in my head. And I don't think they put any of the guards on Lucas. I think they'll probably go JB on Luka, meaning one of the small guys would be on one of the wings. So probably,
I feel like you're making this a complicated answer when I thought it was a fairly. I mean, I thought you might have to think about it for a second, but you're going down full dimensions with this shit.
Yeah, that's what I have to do. So an X factor. I mean, after that, are you going to say Lively?
No, that's too easy.
Who are you going to say? Yeah, because you said surprise. The whole
bro. I also said teaser, and you're taking so long reading this. We're not even to the salacious shit yet. You're gonna be a tease. You got to tease.
You know what? Find out my answer next week when we.
There you go. Will the shirt come off? We'll see.
The answer is underneath.
No, man. My X factor for the Mavericks, again, because I'm drawing parallels to the 2011 team. My JJ Barea, if you will.
Oh wow, Hardy.
I'm going Jaden Hardy. Again, the late emergence combined with the momentum and stuff that he was building. I think the attention, because we'll look at it this way. The attention that Luka and Kai, the gravity they're going to draw. PJ and Derek Jones Jr. at times have shot lights out in the playoffs, but they've also had moments where it was a drought and nothing was going. And I know that Hardy's not automatic. He's a bit streaky as well, but he's on a better stretch right now, especially in that was my silver lining in that game 4 was, bro, Hardy got going. He built confidence. He closed a quarter like by himself, trading baskets with Ant, like going at him. So yeah, I think with the gravity of Luka and Kyrie, the fact that, the obvious guys that Boston's going to know to try and limit or how they're going to game plan around is PJ and Derek Jones. But what do you do for Hardy? Are you really going to, like, you might have like a strategy, but I think Hardy is a complete enough scorer and can create his own shot, can play make for other guys. He might have his defensive deficiencies, but I could absolutely see Hardy being just one of those things that kind of catches them by surprise. It's not like JJ Barea was in the finals as a defensive, master. He was in there just like, bro, if anybody tries to like beat me up, I'm just going to get knocked over or I'm going to flop, like it worked for him. But
I can see Hardy coming in and making an impact, especially if he's mirroring minutes with Pritchard. Because it will be hard for him to do that with such high level defensive guards like Derek White and Drew Holiday.
Yep.
But if, let's say, if Pritchard is guarding him, I can see him getting some buckets and quickly.
What I'm saying is run a 3-guard lineup in certain situations, not for long stretches, but a change up.
Well, I'll have to think harder about that.
Okay. And this can be part of our broader discussion on that, but I'm just
that is a tease. Ooh, look at us.
There you go. I'm just thinking if you mix up the rotation with how you're putting that in there, we've not seen a lot of Luka, Kai, Hardy in especially the second half of the season, let alone playoffs. I'm not going to say that's a defensive masterclass. That's why I'm saying you do it in small stretches. You use it situationally. But I feel like you could catch them with a quick run, right? Like you could catch them with a 9-0 run or a 9-1 run, 12-3, whatever. You can get on a bit of a run right there doing that. And deployed at the right moment, you can do something with that. And I'm not saying play him 20 minutes or anything like that, but I do think that could be a fascinating opportunity. And Hardy's just one of those guys that has that kind of energy about him where I think on the big stage, he's gonna like be ready to go. Like he's gonna be extra motivated. He's not gonna play like the young players typically do, where it's like deer in the headlights kind of eyes, where they're just like overwhelmed by the moment. I think Hardy's one of those guys that's got a little bit of that Kai Luka mentality to him, where he's just gonna be like, no, this is my moment. I'm gonna go out here and do what I do.
Yeah, I think it'll work. I think, well, yeah, like you said, in small doses, it could probably create enough of a mess in a good way, especially when you have 3 capable ball handlers that are capable of getting to the rack, also shooting. Guys who are capable.
Pair them with Maxey and Lively for that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So you're anchoring the defense, and you've got the versatility. So it's still small ball because Lively still has the versatility. So it's not like a true small ball, but from a versatility and all of that, you still have a little bit of that.
You're able to switch everything too. Yeah. Maybe we'll check.
I'm not saying I'm a masterclass X's and O's guy at all.
I was always curious to see if the Mavericks will ever employ a Maxey or a Lively Gafford, Lively/Gafford. Maxey PJ guard lineup, 2 guards lineup.
Yeah.
Just to get uber big and uber strong, girthy, if you want to say that.
Girth is a very strong sexual word.
Yeah, nowadays, freaking.
If you paired it with moist, we would have been immediately pulled off of the live stream by YouTube. They would have pulled down the stream. I said, yeah, I'm not off. Get over it.
Yeah, is just to try to counteract, because let's say both Jason Tatum and
we're starting to creep out of
territory
into just actual analysis.
Okay, you're right. If you guys want to find out what we think, stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll talk about this more when we get to our next stream. But that's it for this here. We've eclipsed 2 hours. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Go Mavs, like the video, subscribe to the Dallas Prospect. And until next time, guys, remember, every legend was once a prospect.
And remember, every championship had to start off by tanking properly.
All right, that too, I guess.